What do you get when you mix baseball and football?
Play ball.
Base footballs?
No. This is Bunts and Bruises. If it's the weekly hot topics in sports, we're talking about it.
We're talking about it.
And we're having fun. Your home for sports and entertainment. We're the best at rolling with the punches. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is Bunts and Bruises. And here's your host, Bars.
How are we doing today? Welcome. It is a new year. It is 2022. It's a new era in the Bunts and Bruises category, dynasty, whatever you want to call us, team, squad, franchise. We're all of it. But it is a new era. Unfortunately, we had to let go of my running mate. You know, there were some contract negotiations. It didn't work out great, but I'm happy for him. It's all good. It doesn't hurt me at all. But show's going to take a different approach now. Unfortunately, the Bruises, they're no longer going to be about hockey. We're going to have some hockey, but, you know, Iceman Jerk, he's gone right now. So look at me. I'm the captain now. If you're new here around the block, my name is Bars, and I'm going to be your host for tonight and moving forward. And boy, do we have a show today, especially for the first show ever in season 3 of Bunts and Bruises. Let me tell you. I'm just excited, one, to be doing this solo because big challenge, but it's all right. And number 2, we're talking about the guy, Iceman. He made my day. It was Christmas in January by sending me a text. The witch is gone. The Giants made the right decision, and Joe Judge is no longer the head coach of the New York Football Giants. Very exciting stuff, but that's not even the main thing we're going to talk about tonight. That's going to be the dessert. The main entree is we're going to talk about what no one's been talking about except until today, and that is the MLB Lockout. We haven't heard anything since December 2nd, but the MLB and Players Association are going to meet on Thursday for the first time since December 2nd. We're going to take a deep dive into that. We're going to take a deep dive into my New York Mets because, yes, I know if you're a previous fan of this show, you know I'm a homer. I'm not trying to hide it. I am. But I tell truth about my team. And just like I said about the Giants, we were trash. The Mets, hey, we were trash, but we're looking pretty good after this year. We'll go more into that. And we're going to take a little dive into how the Yankees made history this year recently. Some very exciting stuff to get into. But first, I'd like to mention our sponsors, BetUSA. Make sure you guys take a look at them. They are the best when it comes to making it. Let me tell you, last night, everyone was on Alabama. Alabama plus money. How can you not go with them? I didn't go with them. I went with Kenneth, Shooter's Bet. Make sure you check out his articles because he is on a hot streak, the ultimate heater of heaters. But without further ado, let's get more into our main topics of today. We are going to take a deep dive into the MLB Lockout. So as I said in the beginning of the show, the MLB and the MLBPA, which is the Players Association, are meeting again for the first time Thursday, January 13th. The last time they met was December 2nd. So you're talking about more than a month later, they're finally meeting. And the last time they met, you can't even really consider that a meeting because when they did meet, it was less than 7 minutes. Honestly, they could have sent an email. Don't you hate that when you're working from home and it's like you got an hour meeting, everything could have been an email? That's essentially what happened during these negotiations because what negotiations happens in 7 minutes? There's not like back in elementary school when you were trading lunches, that lasted longer than 7 minutes. What was the point of the players and the league meeting together? It was really just hey, let's do it just for eyewash, I guess, because the elevator ride was longer than it was the actual meeting. But as we know, MLB and the Players Association do not like each other. We saw this in the 2020 deal when it came with the COVID season. Everything looked bleh. The league did some dirty tactics. Well, everyone thinks it's the league, but the negotiations got leaked out, which then created the fans doing a whole, it's the players' fault, when realistically it's the owner's fault because it's billionaires versus millionaires. End of the day, as fans, we're going to say players just play because That's easier way to do it. But when it's your livelihood, you got to understand. You want what's right. You want your money. You got to fight for it. So I have no issues with that. But you got to figure the league is meeting with the Player Association on Thursday because in February, that's usually when pitchers and catchers begin to meet. Now, we saw what happened last year with pitchers and catchers not meeting. We had an all-time high in pitchers' injuries, possibly. You would think that extra rest would have helped them out, but honestly, certain teams who don't make the playoffs, some teams do, some don't. The ones who made a deep playoff run, it probably helped, but it probably didn't because if you look at Max Scherzer, he wasn't able to really make a long playoff run either. But speaking of Max Scherzer, what a signing, man. But they are supposed to meet in February. But as anything in the world, this whole negotiation is all about money. That's what it comes down to. And you can't blame the players for not taking whatever deal the league was giving them. Players' total salaries dropped all the way to $4.05 billion. Now that outrageous number. I can't even think of a number like that. But that's actually 200 million drop, which is the lowest it's been since 2015. Now, players want the world. You can't blame them for that. But what they really want is very manageable, and it's something that the owners should get around some kind of concept to agree with. The main things they want is they want an earlier free agency. You can't blame them for that. That's one of the big things when you look at sports, especially baseball. That's why you have athletes who go to other major sports, such as a Kyler Murray, instead of baseball, because you get that money immediately. Where in baseball, if you join, you're in the minors for X amount of years, then you're a rookie and arbitration for X amount of years, and then you don't really make money until 8-10 years into your career. Which, yes, you're going to make fully guaranteed, and it's a bunch of money, but so much can happen between then and now, which is just like, why take the risk when you could join the NFL, which if you love football like Kyler did, it's an easy bet to do. And you make that money immediately and you're playing and you're the star of the team that drafted you. Other things they're looking at is to pay more money to youngins because, like I said, it's not an easy path to become a high-profile MLB player or even just a medium blue-collar guy who makes average money. It's not easy to get there. It takes a lot of work, and you're making a little money till you get there. They want to raise the minimum salary to about $650K, which is a 14% raise. Nothing too crazy. And when I get a little deeper into this, we're going to understand why. And then the main thing is they also want less revenue sharing. So for the casual baseball fans who watch this program, what revenue sharing is the MLB's way of creating an even playing ground because there is no cap in baseball. And realistically, if there's no cap, there's no way the small market teams could keep up with competitive teams such as the Yankees, a team in Chicago, any of the LA teams like the Dodgers. It's impossible when you're a small market team like the Oakland A's or the Kansas City Royals. But the point of revenue sharing is it's supposed to even the playing ground where the Yankees give the smaller markets a little bit more of their money, not just the Yankees, but the bigger market teams. I don't know how the math works. You could look it up, but that's how it works. They give it out, it evens out, but apparently it doesn't work out, which is why the players want less. So the main reason why all this is money and the minimum salary needs to be raised is really because with all the analytics in baseball, you're losing that middle class of player. Those veterans who really, as corny as this sounds, they're a locker room presence. They bring a lot of fundamental and exchangeables, whatever the word is, that you can't even name. The glue guys who help build a championship team. Those guys aren't really getting signed anymore because of analytics. Because the analytics say you pay your stars, and then everyone else is semi-replaceable due to the numbers. Because you'd rather get a rookie who you're paying less than $650K to do exactly, if not close to exactly, the same job as you would have paid a 7-year vet. Let's say a Kyle Seager, for example, who he might not be the best third baseman, but he just had a career year and he's doing pretty good. And he still took a pay cut for this year. Also, I'd like to make a quick shout out, Kyle Seager. Thank you for a wonderful career. I'm not a Seattle fan, but I was always a fan of you. He had one of his best years this year. I believe he had 30-plus home runs and 100-plus RBIs, and yet the guy still decided to retire. Now, why is that? Who knows? He was going to free agency. He just had a 12-year career with Seattle. Maybe he just didn't want to play baseball anymore. Or, maybe he was just realizing he was getting taken advantage of and rather be a family man because I bel during this COVID season that just passed 2 years ago, a lot of players realized, there's just some things not worth it. And maybe that's what Kyle Seager saw because we're getting a lot of athletes retiring earlier in their careers than we had in previous years. But as I was saying, you need to raise the money for these players because those mid-tier players are becoming almost non-existent. For example, Eduardo Escobar, the Mets got him on a steal, and some people think we overpaid him still. If you look at the analytics, which believe me, I'm an analytic guy. I love the numbers, but there's a certain thing that it just doesn't show on paper. There's an X factor. You could do it 1,000 times, but that's why there's always those handful of moments. Or if you even look like me and the Iceman previously mentioned in episodes, the postseason where that X factor is just it's all over and those analytics are out the window, which is why some of the best teams are ones that use analytics but they don't fully use them. You have the manager who has full control, not like an Aaron Boone who he has to listen to the scouting department because they're telling him what to do. And it's just that's where you create complication. Now, there was a group who decided they think they could solve the lockout. And these are the main 7 things they said is needed to solve the lockout. They're nothing crazy if you ask me, and most of them we've named. Excuse me. So they have 7 ideas that could solve the lockout. The first one, quite obvious, you raise the minimum salaries. The second one is you add a performance pool, a bonus performance pool for pre arbitration. So, once again, for my casual fans, what arbitration is every year, once you're past a rookie and you hit a certain amount of years, you start getting essentially you meet with owners, coaches, you look at your stats essentially, and it's okay. Do you still deserve to make the minimum that you're making now? Or if we look at your stats, let's say a Gary Sanchez after he had his outstanding rookie career. Okay, do you deserve a little more money? Or Aaron Judge, for example, as well, who it, this is the big debate of should you re-sign him or not? Because arbitration, you're getting a deal with him, but the big bucks are about to come. So you look at the stats, and essentially you both come in agreement of how much the player should make. So if they were making 1 million, but he had a 30 home run, 100 RBI year that year, you could probably give him 9 million that year, which is still a steal for a player like that. So they're looking to add the bonus because aside from arbitration, you want to get a couple, you want incentives. Simple as that. Incentives. Look at Gronkowski. He got his 100th catch or whatever it was. He needed one more catch to make that extra milli. And now there's videos of him saying, I'm going to spend the milli in the city. And he's made all the money in the world. Money is it's what makes the world go round. And that's why they're playing this sport in the day. We're jealous as their athletes because we're like, damn, you get to do what I've always dreamed of. But end of the day, this is their job. They need a livelihood. Number 3, I think, is the easiest solve ever. I think it's something that should have been done. We've been beating the drum since day one of Bunts and Bruises, and that's adding the universal DH. That simply needs to happen. There's no excuse for why it hasn't happened yet, aside from you got the traditional list and the people want to keep it classic. But I think that's part of the reason why baseball is dying. Yes, it's cool once in a while to see your pitchers bat. Look at Jacob deGrom. Look at a Mad Bum. Do you get some pitchers who actually could swing the bat, but one that leads to more injuries to them, and you do never want to see your pitcher get injured from swinging a bat. Some pitchers don't even swing the bat; they get up there and they just hold it and take the strikeout. So why even waste it? And 2, the universal DH would create more runs, and not only that, but will allow more free agents into the NL. Because then, look at the Mets situation. I told you it's a homer show. I know I'm mentioning a lot of Mets, but it's all right. We're gonna expand after. It's a Mets episode right now. It's a Yankees episode. It's a New York-based show. So deal with me. I apologize, fans. But regardless, you look at the Mets. We have tons of players who could be DHs. We have players who play the same position. You could have Dom Smith at first and Pete Alonso be a DH. It would be great. The Mets would be forever thankful if the universal DH came into the league. And so would a bunch of other NL teams. But unfortunately, not a thing. I think it'd be the easiest fix because more home runs means more eyes, means more points, means more interest. And that's exactly what a dying sport needs. The fourth point they made was they need an expanded postseason. They want to go from 10 teams to 14. Now, that's a little bit of a stretch to make it 14, but from what I saw with the expanded postseason, how can you say no? It just creates excitement. Even when you think you're out of it towards the end of the regular season, you're still in it. And that's what everyone loves. Everyone wants their team still be in it. So, yes, you may be adding a little extra, but at the end of the day, look at the NFL. They added an extra regular season game, and everyone ended up loving it because it goes down to the wire, and that's what people want to see. The fifth is they want to remove draft pick compensation for free agents. So in long term, what this means is there's deals where if you don't sign a free agent, then you will, and if you don't sign a restricted free agent after you let your free agent go, you get draft compensation. However, the formula is, I'm not sure, but if you look at it, most of the time it's you get like a third round pick if you let a decent player go. The Mets just did it. Yes, I know the Mets. They want some changes to happen to the draft. And then the biggest thing is they want to raise the competitive balance tax. So what that is essentially that's the soft salary cap you would say is in the MLB. What that really means is they just want to raise that so that way realistically it's just players could get paid more because if you're playing just a couple of studs and then you're close to that tax, you're not going to play those middle tier players to solve those couple holes you need. And like I said, no middle tier players is really what's killing the game because if all you're seeing is rookies and then these Hall of Fame studs or all-star studs, what you need those glue guys. Those glue guys are really what makes the sport. Everyone has, you can remember from the past of time when you were back in elementary school. Me, as a Brooklyn Nets fan, Reggie Evans. I don't know why, my favorite player of all time. And it's just fans love those guys. You need a fan guy, and that's simple as that. Now, the lockout, it's just, you really hope we hear something by Thursday. The way it's been going, I wouldn't expect a solution by Thursday. I wouldn't even expect a solution by February, to be honest. But hopefully, the players and the owners could see that there's a lot of money to lose if they don't figure this out. Because if they don't figure this out, this could be the death of baseball. It really could. Me and Jerk have been saying this since the episode 4 of Bunts and Bruises in total. Like we've been dragging this out because we both come from dying franchises in the MLB and the NHL. And it's almost as if they just don't care about gathering the new fan. It's all about the old fan. And unfortunately, that's what kills the sport. You need to stop seeing old blood and you need to inject some new blood into it because that's really how you continue your sport to go on for years and years. And I'm sorry, but putting Ken Griffey Jr. as like your young relations guy, it's not looking good. There's kids who don't even know who Ken Griffey Jr. is. As much as a shame that is, yes, that's good for me, but you already got me. I'm a fan. You need to go for the 11-year-old. But I digress. So we hope for the best. You can only hope that it's not a 7-minute meeting this time. You hope they stay in there for a couple hours and at least get a foundation of what to work around. And honestly, the group that I mentioned, it was a bunch of MLB insiders, and it was one owner, 2 league officials, 2 GMs, 2 assistant GMs, 4 players, 1 union official, and 2 agents. So it's not like it's a very one-sided thing. Yes, it's only one owner, but you got the GMs in there who essentially work with the owners, and you got players and union reps. So it's split down the middle pretty essentially. And if these 7 ideas is what gets the league to go up and running and pitchers and catchers report in February, I don't see what's stopping it except from the owners being greedy. And me and Jurg have mentioned plenty of times, it's not, I wouldn't put it past the owners to keep being greedy because they've shown countless times before that they just don't care. And as sad as it is, they just don't care. But as I said, let's move towards some more positive news here. I did mention Yes, I know. We're not talking about the Giants and the Mets this time. We're going to talk about the kids across the street, the Yankees. I did mention that they made history. Now, everyone who, if you're not a diehard baseball fan, you're definitely curious what the history was because you would expect Yankees making history should be all over the place. Well, for my casual fans out there, they made history that makes me proud and it makes me very happy. As you know, I am I'm a strong supporter of getting women in sports. I wouldn't say I'm a feminist, but I have a baby sister. I come from a single mother family. I love seeing women do big things and making an entrance into a male dominated world. So the Yankees hired Rachel Balkovich. I hope I said that right. This is when I needed Jared because he was the name guy, in case you guys forgot. But they hired Rachel Balkovich, and she's going to be the first woman to lead an affiliated professional baseball team at the young age of 34. She's going to manage the Tampa Tarpoons for the New York Yankees, their Class A affiliate. Now, this alone just makes me happy because in 2020, you had other women making huge strides, such as Alyssa Natkin, who became the first woman to work as a full time coach in the majors with San Francisco Giants. You got Kim. Oof, this is a tough one. Kim Enge, I want to say her name is. She was formerly an assistant GM with the Yankees, but now she's the first woman to ever become a general manager for the Miami Marlins, who are owned by former Yankee Mr. Derek Jeter. And then you had Bianca Smith, who was hired as a minor league coach in the Boston Red Sox organization, not only making her the first woman to coach in affiliated professional baseball, but the first black woman to serve as a coach in affiliated professional basketball. So I love seeing strides in the civil movement. But back to Rachel, it's just she played as a catcher for softball teams in Crenton and University of Mexico. She has her master's in kinesiology. I think that's the movement of muscles or the body. She got that from Louisiana State. And she has long deserved a job like this because when I'm going to read you her resume right now and what she's had to do to get to where she is, and it's just outrageous. In 2012, she was working on a temp contract as a strength and conditioning coach for the St. Louis Cardinals minor league associate. She actually won the Appalachian League's Coach of the Year for strength and conditioning that year. 4 years later, she was working with St. Louis Cardinals major league affiliates. 2016, she was running the Astros Latin American strength and conditioning coordinator. And then 2 years later, for the Astros, she's in their Class AA for the Corpus Christi Hooks. She left in 2018 to pursue her second master's, which is it was again for human body movement, something like that. But as she was in the Netherlands at Vrije University, I definitely know I messed that one up. It's Vrije. For my Netherlands people, because I know we got viewers there, I apologize. You could tear me up on Twitter, let me know how to correctly say it. But she also, while she was getting her master's there, she was also serving as an assistant hitting coach for the country's baseball and softball programs. This girl, she's been all over base. She's been in baseball her whole life almost. I'm talking 10 years of just jobs. You throw in her playing career, it's almost 20 years of probably baseball right there. She taught herself Spanish, and then it's just, let me read this quote from her. I view my path as an advantage. I had to do probably much more than my male counterpart, but I like that because so much more prepared for the things and the challenges that I might encounter. And I want to encourage younger women or women in general that maybe it's not fair we have to work a little harder. But that's fine because I'm glad I had to work, but I'm glad I had to because I'm now well and way more prepared than if it was handed to me. And as someone who's just, I love the grind mentality, tough love, you do what you got to do. That's just a quote like that hits home. And for someone with a little sister, yay high, single mother, as I said, it's just that's what you want to see. You want to see a movement, and you love seeing strong women in a male dominated world. So, shout out to all the women I mentioned earlier, but specifically shout out to Rachel Balkovich. Now, on to more good news and a new coach. we're going to go ahead and talk about my boy, Buck. Oh, my God. It's the sports gods are taking care of me this offseason. Not only in terms of coaches, you're talking about we got Buck the show, Walter, he's the show. Let me tell you now, we're talking about a 3-time coach of the year, and it's teams he should have never been coach of the year with, if we're being quite frankly honest. The last time he won coach of the year was with the Baltimore Orioles, and he had no business winning with that team at all. If anyone actually remembers that, this is back in like 2014. Yeah, they got first in the AL East that year, but they were third in the AL East before, third the year after. This is a bottom team. They were fifth in the AL East and when he started with them, and they ended up fifth when he left. So yes, he didn't end up in a good note, but managing could only take you so far, man. Unfortunately, though, I mean positively though, he has talent on this new squad, and he's bringing in a hell of a staff. Now, it's been a little bumpy road for the coaching staff he's trying to develop because he has yet to really get any of the coaches he wanted to originally. But it's finally starting to make some progress. We unfortunately had the uh, he's not able to fill his bench coach job because unfortunately the Padres declined the interview of Ryan Flaherty, who were interviewing for there. And the Reds did the same thing with Jeff Pickler, who we were hoping, but unfortunately he removed his name as well. We made progress though by stealing Aaron Chavez. That's right, we stole him because he was an assistant hitting coach for them. And then all of a sudden he said, "No, I want a real job. I'm going to the Mets." And now he's the hitting coach here for the Mets. Essentially, what ESPN did to me. They were like, "Hey, we want this guy," and then Jerk was like, "Listen, bro." And I was like, "All right, you got it, you got it." But it's all right. It's all right. I'm a little salty, but it's all right. I'm a bitter ex. But regardless, we got him. You got Wayne Kirby, who's going to be Buck Showalter's first base coach, and Joey Cora is finalizing an agreement to be the third base coach. The only coach being kept over from the Luis Rojas era is going to be Jeremy Hefner, and he's the pitching coach. And you can't get rid of the pitch. Jacob deGrom's pitching coach? Ha! Good luck trying to get rid of that guy. That guy's there until Jake leaves, and he probably isn't leaving anytime soon. So we're getting a squad here assembled, and I'm just happy we. I'm happy Steve Cohen didn't play any games. I'm happy he took the adult in the room. He took the obvious coaching hire that everyone knew the Mets had to make. Let's skip all this take chance on the new hot flavor, this, then the third. No, you look at the White Sox, you do exactly what they did. They got his name skip it, Tommy La Russa. They got him, and boom, look at them now. They're one of the hottest teams in the AL. They're one of my personal favorite teams to watch with all their young talent and an old school coach. Yes, there was some battling mid-season, but look how they did, man. You know, that's what we need. We need to stop going for these young, hot flavor of the month coaches, and you need some tough love. You need some guys who aren't going to be bullied by these guys upstairs with the analytics. Don't get me wrong. Buck is going to use the analytics. Is he going to use them to make decisions for him? No, he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, well if the analytics say I got to do this." No, he's going to take an informative guess, and at the end of the day, he's going to go with his gut, which is what a good manager does. Because like I said, there are just things on that sheet that the numbers don't show. And Buck Showalter, he uses the numbers, and his gut has helped him take teams as far as they could go. And unfortunately, he hasn't won the World Series, but who's to say he doesn't have a shot? Because this is hands down possibly one of the best teams he's coached talent wise, and they're not even done adding talent. If it wasn't for this lockout, I'd probably be doing a dance on my desk because they signed like 5 other guys. So let's see what happens. But right now, the Steve Cohen era is looking bright because he must have known already the way he started it. It was a mess the way it started. You're talking about he had to fire the GM Jared Porter, the interim GM who was the assistant GM of Jared Porter, Scott McKenzie, I believe his name was. He just got acquitted of a DUI. The charges weren't pressed, but either way, they didn't look like pretty situation when it happened. You got the Mickey Callaway thing. All of this happened under Sandy, by the way, which if you watch the show, you know damn well I have not let him get away with it. But with all the madness going on, he knew he needed a stable force. He needed an adult in the room. He needed someone who's been there, done that, and could take Cole and then take the pressure of New York and make it into a diamond. And that's what Buck Showalter is. And honestly, there's so many other teams who have vacancies for a managing position, and they're going to look like they got egg on their face because Buck Showalter was out there and they didn't make the move on him because they were scared. Simple as that. Teams were scared he wasn't going to work with analytics or he was going to do what Buck does. And that's not a bad thing. Some teams, you need a Buck Showalter, and the Mets, they were one of those teams. But we're done talking about hires and good things. Technically, I mean, this is still a good thing. It's not even a bad thing. We're done talking about the new hires, though, and we're going to talk about the new fire, which it was, as I said, it was the greatest news I could have received ever. But as just, the best news I could have ever received from one of the best people I know. And he, like I said, it was jerk. He treated me like it was Christmas. And then, it hit the heart because I'm just like, damn, man, how are you going to send me this news on the first episode of Bunts and Bruises and you ain't going to come on? And then that's when I realized it was Christmas in January twice. So please join me in welcoming back. That sounds funny, but welcoming back the one, the only Iceman. How you doing, brother?
Hey, it's good to be back.
I mean, look at it. I couldn't even go 30 minutes without bringing you back to the show. What can I do? We start 30 minutes late. We're a mess over here without you, man. You see what happens?
No, you're doing great, brother. You're doing great. I'm glad to be back on. And I watched this whole half hour, of course. Brother, I'm proud of you. You did the show good. You did the brand good. B&B is more than in a good place with you, and I'm just happy to be on. The first guest of B&B 2.0 is ironically the former co-host of the show.
No one else answered. No, I'm kidding. But we are back. So welcome back, brother. The fans, they missed you. I missed you. What more can we do? But let's talk about it, brother. You texted me literally 4 minutes after the news dropped. I'm sure you knew 5 minutes before the news dropped. You got connections now and whatnot. But you texted me once the news dropped that you didn't even say the news, to be honest. You said, "Congrats, brother. I'm happy for you. New GM, new head coach means new QB." I was like, the hell does he mean new head coach? I was like, don't play with me. I looked on Twitter and there it was. Josina Anderson was probably your, little insider. You don't got to tell me. Just wink twice if it was. But either way, what is your thoughts on this, brother, about Joe Judge? Finally, the witch is gone. It's the Maras. They came with some common sense, and what I was begging for happened. Yes, it happened 48 hours longer than it should have, but it happened.
So, first off, if I may, really fast, for all our OTBN fans, you think back to yesterday's show when I said I feel bad, and then I inadvertently caused like a half-hour discussion of between NFC East talk. That was a wild ride for anyone that watched Overreaction Monday live yesterday. And make sure you listen back to it, by the way, because Couch Coach always puts on a great show, and that was an amazing Overreaction season finale for Mondays for this NFL season.
Way to wrap it up.
Exactly. Ran by the NFC East. Brought to you by the NFC East. But no, my reaction was just straight up like this was the right thing to do. We kind of broached the subject a little bit yesterday, but like the whole idea of keeping your coach but the GM leaving. Now, Gettleman retired, which like I'm not going to say anything bad about him because at least he's retiring. Like good for the old man. Like, you retire. He doesn't want to do it anymore. I think even he looks back. It's like, I picked Daniel Jones 3 years ago. Yeah, it's probably time I retire. I don't think I'm getting myself out of this one. So I think at the end of the day.
Well, let me make a quick note on that. He didn't really retire. It was his contract was up.
True.
And the Giants essentially said, listen, you can retire or we can say you're fired. Which one do you want? The Giants being the class organization we are.
Yeah, they put their PR spin on it, but at the end of the day, still the right thing to do. You allowed Dave Gettleman to go, and then the whole Joe Judge thing. It was going to end up being like the whole Adam Gase situation, where it's like, are you really going to keep the head coach, but you're going to hire a new GM? And so it's like, can the new GM really fire the head coach if the head coach has a hand in getting him hired? And that was like one of the reasons why people thought Adam Gase had way more job security than he really did. So I think that would have been a disaster for the Giants. Heck, who knows? Maybe Joe Judge pulls a Bill O'Brien and takes the GM role for himself. We saw how that happened, how that worked in Houston.
That was my biggest worry. That's what I was worried about the most. I didn't want to say it out loud because I was afraid I was going to, put it out in the air and it's going to happen. But I was really scared that with the way the draft went and how we traded our pick to Chicago for 2 first-rounders and Gettleman never trades back, I was freaking out because I was just like, man, that was all Joe Judge. And if they thought that was a good move, he's the GM and coach, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, so you avoid that situation at all, and you just get rid of a bad head coach. Like, let's be real here. Bill Belichick assistants don't do great. Now, we know the one exception to that, and that dude got fired yesterday as well. So, and we all said it. We all summarized it best in the chat. If Brian Flores was let go in Miami after back-to-back seasons where they were a game away from the playoffs, a 10-win season, 9-win season, back-to-back the 2 most successful back-to-back seasons that the Dolphins have had since the century turned, like, how the heck did Joe Judge still have a job? And clearly, the Mara family, Mara specifically, he must be an Off the Ball Network fan, because I think he must have listened to us. He saw your passion yesterday, and he's like, you know what? I need to keep James Marcy. I need to keep the Giants faithful. And so he ended up canning Joe Judge. I think it was the right thing to do. Like, a dude like that, man, like, it just, I don't know how he got in his own head, in his own ego, with all that stuff he was saying towards the end, that weird press conference he had where he was just like,
that was the death of him. Yeah, right there.
I got players saying that they want to come back. I got guys that are already saying they want to stay here. It's like that. A, that's like the biggest lie in the world. And then B, he was trying to flex the fact that he gets like 2 emails a day. It's like, I don't know how to tell you this, Joe. 2 emails a day, that's not a lot.
I'm sure you get more than 2 emails a day.
Oh man, but I get 2 emails within the hour sometimes because of work. So, but irregardless, no, it was really weird. And I think the writing was on the wall. Yes, it was very quiet after the meeting yesterday, and typically that means that everything's fine. But I think another 24 hours. See, this is the beauty of always thinking decisions through, because you get another 24 hours, and Morrow's just like, no, I cannot keep this clown show on my team any further. So he fires him. And part of it was because of the idea, the reception of like, this is now the 3rd straight head coach the Giants have fired after only 2 seasons. And it's like, I understand in the NFL today, I think sometimes certain coaches are given too short of a leash, but I don't think this is one of those cases. I think we could clearly see in regression from year 1 to year 2, because they had more wins his first season. It actually looked like the team was behind Joe Judge his first season. And it just didn't look like that this year, as opposed to you look at Detroit and Dan Campbell. That team is legitimately behind that dude. Mm-hmm. Like they had they finished the season with 3 wins and a tie.
Almost they were in a lot of games. That's the difference between them and us. They fought every game of the season. They were a 3-win team, but they weren't an easy 3-win team, And
that team never gave up on him. That team never doubted that he was real with them. That team never doubted that he was like one of them. And I think that's a big thing. And Joe Judge just does not give that off. It is the ultimate detrimental trait that all Bill Belichick assistant coaches, except Brian Flores, seem to have, and all tyrannical college coaches seem to have. Urban Meyer, when they come to the pros, they think that they are holier than thou. They think they are almighty, that they know everything and that they can run everything the way they see fit. No, that's not how it works. You need to earn your keep. Bill Belichick can act like that. You want to know why? Because he's Bill freaking Belichick. Because you look on one hand and he's got all those Super Bowl rings, and you look at the other hand and he's got the extra Super Bowl ring. Like, no one is going to say anything to Bill Belichick. The only guy there's 2 guys in the league that could say something to Bill Belichick. It's Tom Brady and it's Aaron Rodgers. And then everyone else is just like, fall your butt back in line, bro. So the fact that these guys tend to act like this without any success, without the leadership too, because I'm sure there's something in Bill Belichick's leadership that makes it different. It's like leagues always try to be as copycat as they can be, and trying to copycat the greatest to do it, like, that's just not smart in general. So I think it was the right move ultimately by Giants ownership, technically, because they don't have management right now to do that. Because if you had gone into next season with Joe Judge, like that wouldn't have been good. Because even think about this, Bars, and I'll throw it to you on this point. Like, assuming the Giants pick a rookie quarterback in this draft class, how detrimental to that rookie QB's development is it that they're going to be stuck with a lame duck head coach? Because let's be real here, this is going to be Joe Judge's last season, most likely, had he stayed on. And for a rookie quarterback, they need to be given a coach that's going to stick with them. And if you're going to fire the guy after year one, then it's like, okay, everything resets for the rookie. That's not fair to him. Now, of course, he's going to have a rough second year because you switched everything on him. So
I'll do one even better for you. I don't want them to draft a rookie quarterback. And I didn't, even if Joe Judge stood, I wouldn't want them to draft a rookie quarterback. I want those 2 picks to be nothing but the trenches. You could trade one down if you want, get some more picks, but other than that, nothing but the trenches. I want 2 offensive linemen. If not 2 offensive linemen, I want 1 offensive lineman and 1 DL. Simple as that with those 2 picks. But you are 100% correct. You couldn't go into that season with a new GM with those 2 top 10 picks and let Joe Judge still be your coach, because he would have had every decision in making those picks, and he wouldn't have made those picks for the future. Like every other coach who has been on the hot seat this year and every other GM, if you look in the past, let's go Bill O'Brien, you don't make decisions for 4 years down the line. You make decisions for right then and there because you're trying to save your ass. You're trying to save your job at that moment. So God knows what would have happened with those 2 top 10 picks. And that's why, honestly, I was more afraid of anything of keeping Joe Judge, was if you keep him, and let's just say we got a GM who, like you said, loved Joe Judge and tried making it work, but the first year didn't work and he got canned anyway. That's a whole year right there you just trashed. Let's look across the street to the Jets. I'm not saying that they have it all figured out right now, but they have it. It's looking pretty good. Future's looking bright. And I don't want to say they could be a step higher than where they are right now, but how much different would this team look had Adam Gase not been there for Joe Douglas's first year? It would have, yes, he got him the job. Like, it would have been almost exactly the same thing. He got him the job, this, then the third, but there was that 1 year where it was Adam Gase still had his hands in things. So it took a little longer for Joe Douglas to create his vision. Right now, with the way they're set up going into next year, they got a lot of draft capital and they got a lot of cap space. I believe they have the 4th most cap space in the league. They could make some big moves. Will they be playoff bound next year? No, but if they're not in the playoffs in the next 2 years, I will be completely in shock, because as much as I hate to say it, Joe Judge, guy's doing a pretty good job over there. Now, if we had kept, not Joe Judge, Joe Douglas is doing a pretty good job over there.
Too many Joes in New York.
There's Joes left and right. I got a cousin Joe over down the block. My neighbor's Joe. Who knows? Either way, a lot of Joeys. We're in Jersey, New York. Hey, how you doing? Either way. If we had kept Joe Judge, it would have it would have showed the Mariners don't care. Like you said, they listened to the fans. There wasn't a single fan, a single media. You couldn't create a single reason why we were going to keep this guy. You just couldn't, no matter what. The best thing he did was convince David Gettleman to trade for those 2 picks for next year. Other than that, there was nothing wrong. There was nothing right there. And like you said, what showed that the team had, not even the team gave up on him. He gave up on the team, was that last game of the season where, I can't even tell you the amount of text I got, Jerg, or the amount of DMs of they QB sneaked on their own 3, and it's just, I wasn't even watching the game. I got to the point, Jerg, where I can't watch the Giants play more. I'll watch a quarter here and there, and then after a while, it hurts,
Because why would you? Who wants to watch a car crash happen live?
Exactly. I mean, no, you want to watch it happen live, but do you want to watch it get real nasty and burning and stuff? No. You just want to see the accident, and that's it. Regardless, though, it was what made me very happy about this meeting that the Mariners had with Joe Judge was the quote that Mara had. And it was, I said before the season started, I wanted to feel good about the direction we were headed when we played our last game of the season. Unfortunately, I cannot make that statement, which is why we made this decision. And that's refreshing to hear, because the Mariners are so set on the Giants' way, as I've complained multiple times, because they fully backed Joe Judge a month ago. And in this last month, it went from looking really, really, really bad to just straight up ugly. This last month has been really where you've been in the back cutting scenes for Sports Center, just trashing on my Giants. I've seen that graphic where it was and since 2017, Giants have the worst record, worse than the Jags and all that.
That wasn't me.
I know it was you. Don't lie to me. I know it was you. Don't lie. But regardless, you sent it to me the moment it came out on ESPN. So, coincidence.
That's a lie. Don't get me fired now. Stop.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, it's a complete lie. I'm completely joking. You can check our text. Regardless, though, either way, you get my point. everyone has been clowning on my Giants. I'm going to the games next year. I'm wearing a paper bag over my head because right now we are the Cleveland Browns of this era. But thankfully, there is some light at the end of the tunnel with this firing. I have a couple people on mine I want hired. Off the top of my head, I don't have their names. Joe Showen, I think he's the Bills assistant GM. Adam Peter, he's the 49ers assistant GM, who I've said I love the 49ers and what they've been building over there. And Kevin Colbert, but rumors are he's retiring. But hey, if we could get him for a few years just to set us up right and then bring someone under his wing, maybe Kevin Abrams. I'm kidding because I don't want Kevin Abrams, but I feel bad for the guy because he's interviewed for like 5 jobs. He's been an assistant GM for like 20 years and he can't get a job, but that says more about him than anything. But regardless, them and one of these young coaches like the offensive coordinator from the 49ers or Brian Dable from the Bills, those are really just the combos. I want a combo. I want the same way, almost the same way that the Jets are doing. If not, I want Brian Flores, who is a guy you've seen him. He could do it. He could make chicken salad out of chicken, you know what? Because his first year in the Dolphins, they were supposed to win 0 games, and they ended up winning 6 games. And it was the same thing like Campbell over there in Detroit. It was the team kept fighting for him, and that's what you want to see. And they just got better and better. And then, he had some friction with the front office and whatnot. But hey, we got a GM. We got an open GM spot. Brian, come here. Who do you think is going to work out? I'm sure there's someone from New England that's free and looking for a GM job. And this is New England. Why would I not take him? But actually, I want to take him because of Joe Judge. But regardless, it's a bright day. It's Christmas twice. I got to talk about the Giants' new hire and coach. I believe, hopefully, it's gonna, it's a bright day right now, but I want to remind my Giants fans, it's gonna be a messy 2 to 3 years. It's not gonna be pretty. We're still gonna be in the dumps, but the only hope we got right now is hopefully we get a front office that knows what they're doing this time. And the way it's looking is Maramaya finally woken up because he fired the coach, he fired the GM. I don't care if he retired. He fired his ass. And the best part of it all was that quote I read because he's opening his eyes. He's seeing it's not working. And the top 7 candidates right now for the job, 2 of them that I just named, the other 5 are, aside from Kevin Abrams, so realistically 6, are all outside the Giants organization. They are not in the Giants family. And that is what the Giants need because the Giants way has not been the Giants way since 2012. Hey, Mo, if you're listening, we won 2 Super Bowls in 10 years, and we weren't mediocre, but we've been trash, but we won. Either way.
Can we not bring that up today?
I had to. I know he's watching. But regardless, that's my final thoughts on it, bud. Love to have you back on the show sometime whenever you're free. I know you're a busy man, but I want to also talk about later down the line about these open coaching vacancies in the league. So book it. Put me in your busy schedule. But as always, bud, thank you for coming. You working on anything that I don't know about over there? You want to drop your Twitter or something for the people?
Not really. No, I'm just hopping on OTBN shows whenever I can. So you'll see this lovely face on throughout the network whenever I get the opportunities to. The life of a morning shift production assistant is tough. So it limits when I can get on and on what days and what times and all that stuff. But I try when I can because I love the Off the Ball Network. I love the OTBN brand and family that we built, and I love this show. And of course, you're one of my guys. I'm so proud you handled this show amazingly today, and always happy to be on with anyone, but especially you, brother. You were phenomenal today. You ran the baseball stuff beautifully to a plumb, so I'm proud of that. Ran seamless transitions. You picked up a little bit of that from me. I was very proud of that. And just amazing overall, man. And it's good to see. So like you said, I'll hop on whenever I can. And yes, the social at JerkK40, IG, Twitter. I post stuff from time to time. I'm still doing a little bit of podcasting here and there, but of course I always share Off the Ball Network stuff because, OTBN to the moon, baby, and beyond. So we stick with it. And yeah, that's all I got to say on what is a beautiful Tuesday night. Really, it's kind of my Sunday night now, considering I have work again tomorrow.
Boo-hoo, you're working for the greatest sports organization in the world. You have to wake up early. Oh, my God. No, I'm kidding, brother. But thank you for coming on such last notice, first of all. Second of all, everybody, make sure you follow him, Jerk40. He doesn't act like he's a social media star, but he is. He has 1,000 and million followers, something like that.
That's cap.
But regardless, thank you, bro, for coming. Hope you have a great day at work tomorrow, and talk to you when I talk to you. You know. Thank God we got rid of that guy, man. I'm sick of him sometimes, you know. This is the new Bunts and Bruises. Get him out of here now. I'm kidding. But regardless, it's a new day. It's a new era, not only for the Giants, not only for my New York Mets, not only for women in baseball, but it's a new era in Bunts and Bruises and just 2022. Starting the year off great. Can't picture anymore. Thank you for all the fans who's still watching. As you can see, it's going to be a different show than it used to be. It's going to take a little more of my personality. It's going to be a little more wild, you know? Jerk, he kept us together. He kept us nice. He kept us kept. But that's it. We're bringing the jersey out. We're going crazy. We're bringing my energy. And one last time, I just want to remind our listeners that this show is sponsored by BetUS. BetUS is the newest sponsor to Off the Ball Network. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, and they offer not 100% sign-up bonus, but 125% when you use promo code Off the Ball in all caps. That's Off the Ball in all caps. Head over to BetUS and bet today, because let me tell you, Shooters Pod, putting money in everybody's pockets. If you haven't been following his tickets, I don't know what you're following. But once again, thank you for coming, guys. We're going to try and do Tuesdays, 7 p.m. all the time. But, you know, I'm a wild man. I don't got Jerk here anymore. I make my own schedule. I do what I want. But no, I'm kidding. It's realistically, work gets in the way, but we're trying the best. As you guys can see, we got the new logo. We got the new intro song. It's all nothing but up. OTBN to the moon. BNB to the moon. Till next time, guys, thank you so much for following the first episode of the new Bunts and Bruises. Peace. Don't be racist.